Good evening and welcome. If I could have your attention, please, it's time to call this meeting to order. This regular meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees for this June 17, 2019 to order. Madam Secretary, would you call roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Contreras.
Present.
Mrs. Guanajuato Webb.
Present.
Mrs. Haynes Sanders. Mr. Mesa.
Here.
Mr. Oberfelt.
Present.
Mr. Smith. And myself. Sir, we have a quorum.
Let the record show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, we'll have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time we're under item 4 on the agenda, recognition of Campus Teacher of the Month for the month of May 2019, Aidea Garcia.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. The Teacher of the Month program is designed to spotlight our most dedicated and talented teachers. Tonight, we are proud to introduce our May Teacher of the Month for each campus. At this time, I'll turn it over to the principal so that they can let us know what sets these teachers apart.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Board President, members of the board. I am delighted today to present our Teacher of the Month, Mrs. Jessica Guanajuato. Mrs. Guanajuato is our digital media technology teacher, and she, together with students, produce the video segments on a monthly basis as part of the curriculum. The status update, if you've seen any of those, is also produced on a monthly basis and shares information about current events in Del Rio and Del Rio High School. This project is student-led, and all of Del Rio High School students look forward to this informative and entertaining production. Ms. Guanajuato also took on a new project this year. You probably heard that the yearbook was going to go out of business, and Ms. Guanajuato, thanks to other students as well, produced this year's yearbook. At Del Rio High School, we look forward to having these wonderful memories for many years to come. Thank you, Mrs. Guanajuato.
Good evening. Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Blended Academy's Teacher of the Month is Mr. Daniel Slender. Mr. Slender's hard work, dedication, and professionalism does not go unnoticed. No matter what he is asked to do, you can count on him to get it done. He is also the one that arrives early, leaves late, and is rarely out. Every day during passing periods, with a big smile, he stands by his door, bonding with students, and sometimes during B-lunch, which is his lunch, you can find him playing basketball with them. In class, he praises and compliments students and consistently calls home when they are absent to check on their well-being. As part of Team Blended, Mr. Slender knows that in order to be successful, we must work together and not as individuals. He is always willing to help others with his knowledge, expertise, and ideas. Thank you, Mr. Slender, for being part of Team Blended.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The goal of a great coach is to guide, inspire, and empower an athlete or team to achieve their full potential. All these qualities are displayed daily from our Teacher of the Month, Coach Alexandra Smith. Coach Smith has called Del Rio Middle School her home for the past 7 years, where she dedicates her summer vacation in August, building the foundation of our cross-country program, and finishes the school year with track season. In addition to being an excellent coach, Alex Smith played a vital role in our games at Del Rio Middle School, where she provided guided instruction in a co-teach setting for our most at-risk students. She even assisted this year in taking the cheer class for our Del Rio Middle School girls, which was out of her comfort zone, but she did it with a smile. And she conditioned the girls while supported our cheer sponsors. Thank you, Coach, for exemplifying the true meaning of teamwork. Congratulations.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, and Board members. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Teacher of the Month for 7th grade Del Rio Middle School. Mr. Andrew Bassler is currently one of our band directors. He has been a band director for the last 10 years. Currently, he works with beginner band students and beginner mariachi students. It is evident Mr. Bassler has great passion for what he does. Not long ago, we got to see the end of the year concerts, and students' growth was very evident. Students play more in tune and with great confidence. This is due to the hours spent in the band hall under the direction of Mr. Bassler. He is a perfect model for teaching. Mr. Bassler teaches students, guides them, assesses students' performance, and then refines skills through a small group intervention. This is how our Del Rio Middle School bands earn excellent ratings at our latest UIL competition. Mr. Bassler, thank you for your dedication, and thank you for making Del Rio Middle School shine. Congratulations.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to congratulate our interventionist at San Felipe Memorial Middle School, Sylvia Cardenas, for being our Teacher of the Month. Mrs. Cardenas is always looking for creative ways to help our students and our teachers reach higher levels of academic success. She is student-centered and believes all students are capable of reaching a master's level. She challenges both students and teachers despite how unsure they may be. Because of her constant support, ELA made 3-point gains this year and math made 2. Thank you, Mrs. Cardenas, for all you do every single day at San Felipe Memorial Middle School.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our Cardwell Teacher of the Month, Ms. Juanita Sandoval. Ms. Sandoval taught our 4-year-old bilingual students. And I say taught because she is now happily retired and enjoying her time with her family and friends. But during her tenure at Cardwell, she was extremely organized, dedicated, passionate about her English language learners. Her students were always on task, had one of the highest attendance rates, both for her students and herself personally, rarely missing a day of work. Ms. Sandoval served as a team leader, LPAC member, and many other campus committees. She is highly respected by all of her parents and her peers and will be missed dearly. We wish you a very happy and healthy retirement, Sandoval, but you will always be one of our beautiful Cardwell Cubs.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is with pleasure that Buena Vista presents Mrs. Esperanza Rodriguez, our kindergarten teacher, who is our Teacher of the Month. Mrs. Rodriguez is a wonderfully kind teacher who wears a smile from the moment she walks in the school until she leaves each day. She exudes joy and enthusiasm throughout the day, encouraging her students to push themselves to learn new concepts. Her dedication to her profession and to teaching her kinder students to read is unmatched. 100% of her students leave her class reading. She extends that learning to leadership roles, where she has them lead circle time and centers. Mrs. Rodriguez is able to creatively and effectively address difficult dynamics in the classroom while still maintaining a calm and positive environment. Thank you, Mrs. Rodriguez, for being an example of true professionalism, dedication, and inspiration. You are truly leading, learning, and leaving a legacy at Buena Vista.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight we recognize Mr. Ricardo Perez as Teacher of the Month for Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary. Congratulations, Mr. Perez. This year brought a new math curriculum that you implemented with fidelity. Along with your commitment and dedication, you helped your students, all your students, grow this year. Your students were always engaged in their lessons and on task with their activities. Enhancing student learning while ensuring their individualized needs were met came natural to you. Thank you for all you did this school year. You rocked it. You rocked fifth grade math. You exemplify Coyote pride. Great job.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mr. Mesa, members of the board. I present Rachel Cardenas, fifth grade math teacher at Ruben Chavira Elementary. Through hands-on approach, interactive lessons employed in her classroom, games, visuals, orally exploring concepts, and cooperative grouping all support her students' success. Aside from the math curriculum requirements, Mrs. Cardenas' students also learn to truly understand the value of teamwork and perseverance in her class. No student is allowed to quit or abandon troublesome concepts. With her help, they discover a new way to approach a task in order to find success. Congratulations, Mrs. Cardenas. Our CE loves you.
Good evening, President Mesa, fellow board members, and Dr. Rios. Tonight, I'm honored to present Mrs. Sarah Howard as our May Teacher of the Month for Garfield Elementary. Mrs. Howard has been teaching for 28 years, with the last 12 being here at Garfield. She teaches third grade reading with so much enthusiasm and passion that her beginner, intermediate, bilingual students flourish and learn on a daily basis. I always enjoy walking into her classroom because I witness students engaged in learning and all are attentive and on task. Whether they were contributing to a classroom discussion on main idea, making inferences on a story they had just read, or working in small collaborative groups, all are always immersed in learning. Mrs. Howard is always ready to plan and collaborate with colleagues, is always willing to share her ideas, and she plans for and utilizes her bilingual instructional aid to maximize teaching and learning for her students. Thank you, Mrs. Howard, for all your positive contributions you make to Garfield and our students on a daily basis. We are Garfield, we're a family. I messed up.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and board members. Ms. Angela Martinez is the Lonnie Green Teacher of the Month for May. This is Mrs. Martinez's first year as a teacher. Ms. Martinez worked on mastering small group and guided instruction this year. Anytime I visited her classroom, students were either huddled around her at the guided reading table or working together in cooperative groups. Ms. Martinez's commitment to guided instruction helped her students grow multiple reading levels this year. Thank you, Ms. Martinez, for building a strong foundation for reading. You are LGE excellence.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. On behalf of Ms. Flores, elementary principal at Lamar Elementary, I present to you Ms. Diana Guzman as the May Teacher of the Month. As a kindergarten teacher, Ms. Guzman sets out every year to ensure her students are actively engaged in the classroom and are provided with nurturing classroom environments. In addition to this, Ms. Guzman is always working to push attendance, not just in her classroom, but for the campus, knowing how important being in school every day is. She is also ready to lend a helping hand with campus events. Congratulations, Mrs. Guzman. You are Lamar Pride.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Board President Mesa, and members of the board. North Heights Elementary proudly presents Mrs. Veronica Patiño as our May Teacher of the Month. Mrs. Patiño is known by many in our district through the variety of teaching experiences she has had in the past 26 years with SFDR CISD. From pre-K to Del Rio Middle School co-teach and almost every grade in between, Mrs. Patiño has found her home as our kinder through second grade life skills teacher. To put it simply, Mrs. Patiño is a lifelong learner. And what better model could we ask for a special group of students who need academic skills alongside life skills? From creative scheduling for ongoing instruction, to fun, hands-on learning in math, to a love for reading, singing, and music, our students are in the best hands for loving learning daily. Thank you for all that you do, Mrs. Patiño.
While they're coming up, I just want to say that we are proud of having wonderful teachers in our district. It makes our district shine, and a lot of you have contributed, again, to the results that we have received at the end of the testing period. And amongst some of the, experience that you have, but I just want to mention also that we, as board members, were concerned with the yearbook at the high school that we were not going to have any memories, and it turned out to be a real positive thing in regard to that aspect. But we have wonderful teachers, and we're real proud of them. Again, congratulations to all of you.
Don't be shy.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir. Amen. How are you doing? Congratulations. Amen. How are you? Amen. Congratulations on your daughter. Congratulations. Congratulations. How are you? Congratulations again. Amen. How are you? Congratulations, sir. How are you? Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Oh my God. Are you going that way? Are you heading that way? Okay.
Okay, while the teachers are exiting, we're going into the next portion of our meeting, and that's citizens' comments. We set aside 30 minutes on our agenda, if need be, for public comments. And we have certain criteria. For example, if we have a large group, then we ask for a representative to be their spokesperson. We have 2 people that have signed up. We're going to allow 5 minutes. Once we have cleared the building in regard to the people that are exiting. Again, I want to mention that during citizens' comments, we're respectful of the language that we use, and we do not single any person by name. We ask that you be very respectful again and address the board. We're not able to respond, to your concerns, but we will certainly take that information into consideration when the information is needed. This time, the first person that signed up is B. Vallejo. The topic is Cardwell present and future present petition to Board of Trustees. B. Vallejo.
Good evening, School Board. Mr. Rios, you know about the uniqueness and success of Irene C. Cardwell Elementary School. You received a packet back in March. I have not seen anyone from the board superficially bringing out board minutes. There appears to be no apparent personal interest in Cardwell as there was in Lamar. Cardwell generates much revenue through Head Start, pre-K, special education, ESL, bilingual, migrant, and from other federal and state funding entities. Yet, the fiscal monetary distribution has not gone to Cardwell. Instead, it has gone to replenish this building, Garfield, North Heights, Maldonado, Lamar, and Del Rio High School, forgetting William B. Travis, Sam Houston, and Stephen F. Austin schools in the San Felipe area. Someone wrote off the 3- and 4-year-olds. No one accepts the blame, but evidence points to this administration and now to the Board of Trustees. There is an inexplicable emptiness that plagues many of the students, teachers, and staff. Many Cardwell employees speak with great trepidation, worried sick of their future. Their fragmented spirits are full of fear to even put their name to anything, fearing the impending ulterior future of their career with the district and of their unique program at Cardwell. The atmosphere has become pestilent. At Cardwell, the psychogenics of many students and employees has been altered, suffering from, but not limited to, anxiety and stress, as well as head and neck region pains, insomnia, digestive issues, and all sorts of physical ailments, as they were submerged into a state of uncertainty and instability. Cardwell has become one of the undesirables that has excited domestic insurrections by Lamar, Calderon, Chavira, the community, the administration, and now this Board of Trustees. Their feeble policy council has no voice. They are impotent. Apparently, they are disbanded, avoiding any dialogue. Since the inception of the Head Start and pre-K programs, teachers have made do at the worst campuses. They have been begging for attention. Today, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary School buildings are in better condition than when the Head Start and pre-K programs arrived 8 years ago. All employed at Cardwell were in agreement with this administration to remain together for 2 years, while another school is built in another part of the 1009 Avenue J property, but the oral agreement has gone wayside. As a Board of Trustee, it is your fiduciary duty to take care of our assets, physical property, and the educational needs of our children. We are banking on your trust, your good faith, and your honesty. Take note, I do not relinquish to any of you the right of representation if you will not listen to our voices. Concerned that many times you're inclined to do what you please without meeting and listening to the people who gave you that power, we humbly presented you with a petition. Our community has sent you a message. Mr. Mesa, you've received that petition.
Yes.
Along with a copy of the signatures, and then we left one for each one of the board members. Would you like for me to read it, or will you be okay with it?
We're okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Second person that signed up is Chabel Gutierrez. Topic is Cardwell.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and everybody. It seems like I'm in church, but I do a lot of talking in church, but this is our future for our children. Okay, so we are the foundation for Cardwell. We have children, many children that come in. We see them go by, and as years come back, they leave, and we see our kids, and they're top readers, this and that. But I have something here that I'm going to show. I'm a very visual person. This is an apple. while we're with the children. Hey, Pepito, siéntate, mijo. The ABCs, the numbers, the letters, the shapes. We're doing this. We're molding our children. He knows the letters. He's already knowing this, how to add. And we're not just showing our kids. We're teaching our parents to be better parents, to be responsible parents, to help our children not to be afraid. Talking to kids, come on, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. And I got my apple here. I'm shining my apple here. I'm not doing anything magic here, but we're the apple. This is Cardwell right here. And we love our children. We have a wonderful staff, teachers and assistants, and we have a lot of programs in our school. And this year, we had 1,490 parental engagement. We won the district. So we're doing something good for our parents, not only for kids. We work with our little ones. If we could work with our parents, you know what? Our kids, the little ones come in A+. But these kids are lovable kids. We teach. We're doing this program going front. Let's not go back. We have a great program. Help us to keep it up together, to do something good for our community. We got parents here that they come, no, miss, yo no acabé la escuela, I didn't finish school. Hey, let us help you. Let's go ahead and take you, help you go to the college, sign some papers, get them in. A couple of years later, hey, miss, ¿cómo estás? Yes, I'm a nurse. Thank you for y'all's help at Cardwell. That's really a joy for our staff because every teacher here, we love our students and we love what we do. And, thank God because, this program is grown so much. We have so many things. We have fatherhood. We got Dr. Sue. We do so many things, even reading library on our kids. We take them to library. Not even just the kids. We motivate our parents. You want to, win books. Traemos a los papás, mira, así. Come on. And the teachers are so excited because they want their kids to win. And we show them, don't settle for something less. Go up higher. Discover. Dream big. And you know what? Our kids are so smart. We've seen kids that they don't know how to write their name. But before they go, they do this. That is cat. They already know how to say cat. They know how many syllables. They know the colors. They know the shapes. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I could open my milk. I could throw my trash. Independent. Miss, ¿qué le ayudo? Let's throw the trash in the classroom. Put the colors together. Let's get the glue. These kids, we motivate our kids. And they learn. Don't throw our program away. Don't let us keep us together. We belong together. This apple represents Cardwell. Cardwell Head Start Pre-K program. And if you split us, this is what's going to happen. You got a beautiful apple right here. This is together. Unite, family. We care for our kids. We're a family here. When our kids come, somebody get hurt, we say, somos una familia unida. We're together. Keep us together. If this happens, when the apple splits, you split an apple, it'll go black. No future. And you know what? It'll go to waste. Something that we have 100% good. Don't let this happen to our kids. Keep us together because we are on this. Tenemos una escuela hermosa con nuestras maestras, con todos los que estamos aquí, todos quieren a nuestros niños, ¿verdad? And we have so many things going on for Cardwell. Please, I beg you and I ask you, think about the choice you're going to do. Please keep us together. You want to move us, fine, move us, but together. Hacemos una escuela juntas. When you wanted to move, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. God bless.
Thank you. This ends the public comment portion of our meeting. We have no item 6, public hearings. We have no 7 board members report. We go on to item 8, reports, attendance, and discipline. Sandra Hernandez.
Mr. Mesa, board members, first off, my apologies. This report should have had Michelle Smith's name on it. Michelle Smith is here, and she's ready to make the attendance and discipline report. It was included in your packet. In the last 6 weeks, we showed some improvement on attendance, but overall for the year, we were maybe 0.1% down. Do you have questions? Do you want her to share the report, or does the report as presented suffice?
Board members.
I'm fine with the report as suffice.
Ms. Webb.
I just have one question. What is the district doing to encourage students not to be skipping out? Because I noticed that on the discipline, a lot of it has to do with not being in class. If you're not in class, you're not learning.
I'll answer that. Ma'am, first off, the campus tries to have discipline action, particularly at the secondary for students that are truant. And the assistant principals try to be consistent in responding to referrals for students that are caught. At the high school and the middle school, we have a process where we have a step-by-step when student reaches 2 absences, 3 absences, like a case study. Unfortunately, what had the greatest effect previously was sending students to court, but the state has now removed that as an option. So we spend more time focusing on case studies. And these are reported, so somewhere there's a record of how many students were seen by a counselor, how many students were referred to the STAR program for counseling. We increased that over the last 2 years. And then at the elementary level, they're very vigilant in contacting parents daily and encouraging them to come in.
Thank you. And then one more question. What do we do with the dress code? I understand that there was a campus that had 24 infractions just on dress code. We have a handbook that addresses the dress code. What are we doing?
A lot of times I hear the kids saying, I got dress coded. So that means that they're sent to the office to have their parents bring them some clothing. But I think fashion sometimes outweighs having to spend half a day in ISS. But I know that the principals respond to the referrals written by the teachers. But it's difficult to send a student home for a whole day and have them be absent because of the dress code. Yet everybody knows the dress code. 100% of our students are aware of the dress code, and still they choose to violate it, knowing that they might get sent to ISS, and it's difficult. So they just keep responding to the referrals.
May I make a recommendation?
Absolutely.
On the dress code, very simple, contact the parents and have them bring them some clothes. Whether you contact the parents at work, after a few phone calls to work, parents are going to make sure those kids are dressed appropriately because they don't want to be bothered at work.
Well, a lot of that is done, but it's still documented as a violation.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I have one question. It's historically, Del Rio Middle School from 2014, 2015 have gone from 94%. I'm talking about the six period report at the end of the 6 weeks have gone from 94 to 91. We've added 2 administrators, well, principal for 7th grade, principal for 8th grade. And this is how we received a lot of our funding through ADA. And I've been following this, and historically it's gone down quite a bit. I'm concerned. We've never had as low as 91%. Something needs to happen there. Again, it affects us in our revenue because of, again, attendance, average attendance, daily average attendance, ADA. And so that's my concern in regard to attendance.
Mr. Mesa, I'm going to respond to your question with another question for Michelle. So the report that's presented to the board, is that after the attendance waiver, the last attendance waiver we submitted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Throughout the year, the unfortunate part is some of the idle threats that have been made. However, those have been waived, so that doesn't count towards this. Mr. President, if you give me to middle of July, I'll visit with the principals and review the records and see how the practice we have and what else we have to do to improve the attendance, because I recognize that. So I'll get together with both Ms. Salas and Mr. Jimenez and come up with a good study and a good improved plan.
Okay, I just want to follow up on that. Ms. Gonzalez? No questions? Discipline? Any questions on? Then, thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Next report we have is 8B, Facilities and Construction Report. Les Hengay.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. For our facilities and construction report tonight, we'll take a look at the Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary parking lot expansion, the painting project at Calderon Elementary, turf installation at Del Rio Middle School, and all the various projects we have going on at Del Rio High School, to include 200, 600, and 400 wing, as well as the dining hall renovation. So the Dr. Lonnie Green parking lot or driveway expansion, they are starting to bring equipment in there today, and the work is scheduled to be completed by 8/1. The equipment's coming in today. They're going to start grading out the landscape there and start working with the plans that were submitted by Abner Martinez. Calderon Elementary, excuse me. Calderon Elementary. We've been going through and doing the interior painting project out there, working around summer school. I believe about a third of the interior of the campus is completed. I did include a photo here of the cafeteria. There was no color change, so it looks a lot cleaner and more crisp, but it's not a 9-day difference per se, because we did keep the same color scheme. Work completion on that is scheduled for 7/31, so we continue to go out and monitor and support them in any way we can, but we're anticipating this work will probably go on for the next 3 weeks. Once summer school lets out, then we'll be able to finish that project off. Turf installation, we had field prep work that started up on 6/10, and some of the photos here show the field out there that's currently being graded right now, and they are anticipating being done by 7/31. So not too pretty, but again, they just started a couple days into it, so that's going to continue, and we'll keep providing updates on the progress of that. Del Rio High School 200 wing is still moving forward. Furniture delivery is expected on 7/22. I've contacted Hertz Furniture. Everything is still on schedule for that. The ceiling grids have been put in most of the classrooms at this point in the 200 wing. We're finishing up electrical. A lot of the drywall taping and floating has been completed. They're applying primer right now, and next week Frontera Construction will be doing a lot of the classroom work inside that wing. It is still scheduled to be completed by 8/1. Yes, okay, so there's another photo of it. As you can see here in this photo, we do have ceiling grid, and all the HVAC has been done at this point. The Mechanical portion on this, we'll be testing that over the next couple of weeks. Once we get temporary power off and restore the permanent power to the wing there. 600 wing renovation is moving forward. Obviously, all the classrooms have been emptied out at this point. All the ductwork that contain asbestos has been removed from the location. New heating and air conditioning units will be going in just like the ones that we have in the 2, and we will be putting them in the 400 wing also. I believe this week the spray and insulation company will be coming in to seal up the deck just like they did in the 200 wing, and then the mechanics will be put in place and start getting all that hooked back up. This is supposed to be going through till the end of July, is what I've been told, the latest information on that. So we'll be able to get those rooms back together before school starts. 400 wing, that one we're scheduled to have furniture coming in December. And this photo here does show the old ductwork with the black mastic asbestos. This was all removed this weekend. As of about 11 o'clock last night, this got abated. So all the abatement's been completed in the 400 wing. Once the spray and insulation company is completed in the 600, they're moving over to the 400 to do the same. And we're just kind of following all the contractors as we go through. So the insulation, then the new ductwork, the new mechanics, and then of course the finishes and the restrooms, and some of that renovation construction will be completed in that same time frame there. So again, all these halls are empty as of last night. Dining hall renovation, we did start doing some demo on the wall there, as you can see in the photo. The stage is gone at this point. We did uncover 4 chiller pipes under the stage that potentially have asbestos, so we're working through getting a sample this week. Just to get some confirmation, and if so, we're going to get it abated, but the project is still on schedule. Everybody's working real good to get around this right now and not disturb anything, but still be able to make progress on that renovation. Again, here's another photo. Just shows where the wall's been getting demoed out, and the 2-foot drop that will actually, this flooring will extend out to this inside column. Through the ESCO project, we were looking at HVAC upgrades, knowing that the floor plan for the dining hall is going to change with the wall coming down, the glass wall going up. So we've been working with Schneider, and through their RFP 19-05 submittal, they submitted a bid of $169,863 for the mechanical portion. Within the ESCO project, we already had $40,364 set aside. So in the near future, within the next board meeting or two, we will be asking for a change order for the additional $129,499 on the HVAC. The plan is, in this photo, you can see the 2 runs that are coming out here. They're green from the ceiling. And what we'll be doing is leveraging the units that are within the gym to help cool that whole new space that we're introducing with the wall coming down. We've had a lot of people look at it, size up the different requirements on what we need for air conditioning, and feel confident that we'll be able to make those adjustments off of that new equipment that's already there, just kind of expanding onto it. This change order, we're looking right now at options as possibly funding it through interest rate or interest revenues from the original $18 million note, which were projected right around $250,000, which if we did move forward with that, then the balance on that interest would be another $120,501 left. So there is funding to be able to make that happen, but again, we're exploring these options right now. Questions?
Board members? Ms. Webb?
You said that the 200 wing, the 400 wing, the 600 wing would all be completed by July?
No, the 200 and 600 will be completed before school starts. The 400 will be completed right after we get back from Christmas break.
Okay. By before school starts, are we talking about the day before school starts? Are we talking by the end of July, a specific date more or less? Because I know that teachers come in weeks before school starts.
My goal right now, ma'am, is to have everything back to where they can come in and start working by August 1st. That's what I'm shooting for, but we do have a lot of things going on right now, and we'll make sure that we update the board as we move on it, but we don't see any delays with 200 or the 600, and again, the 400 we have until Christmas break.
Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Gonzalez? I have one.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rios, you included that on the update in regard to the change order and the revenue where it's coming from?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure that that was the same information. Okay. Dr. Rios, you were going to say something.
Yes, sir. Before we move on to the next item, the construction is visible. We can see the walls that are coming down and the new walls going up. But one thing that's happening at the high school that a whole lot of people don't see is the fact that the 400 wing is going to be completely closed off. That's, I'm going to guess, 20 plus teachers. And the 20 plus teachers need to be distributed throughout the building because that wing is not going to be online until December. There's not enough classrooms for the teachers to be placed at. In other districts, what often happens is that the district buys portables and they move them in, and then teachers use them, and when they're done, then they're done. Our personnel, under the direction of Mr. Henge, Mr. Casey, and I don't want to miss any of the names, they've taken to turning the old CTE wing into classrooms. And they've been busy for the better part of the last 4 months at it, and it's progressing really well. So that presents a huge savings to the district, and it allows us to do the remodeling wing by wing, thanks to their efforts. And I know that they feel overwhelmed, so Mr. Henge, if you can just express all our appreciation for the work, and I know that they're going to get it done in time for us to start school. Completing the 200 wing and the 400 wing, that's on the contractors, but completing the rooms for teachers to move on to, that's all rests on the shoulders of Mr. Henge and his staff. So I think that so far they've done a job well done, so thank you, sir, and I just encourage you to keep encouraging them, tell them we appreciate what they're doing.
Thank you. We'll make sure we convey that back to everyone working on the project.
And we have approved them working overtime because they need to get this done.
Dr. Rios, if we could somehow organize for interest from the board members to kind of look at the projects that are ongoing. I don't know if we could do a little tour with a van or something in regard to everything that's going on. The Lonnie Green project, the middle school project, the high school.
Absolutely, sir. We'll schedule a couple of tours. We can meet here. And we'll convey those in the board update this coming week. We'll kind of pull the board to see what days and times work for them.
Just to see the progress. Okay, good. Anyone else? No questions? We're moving right along on the agenda here. Okay. Summer school report, item 8C. Ida Gomez.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Tonight we'll present a summer school overview of the different programs that are going on at both elementary and secondary. You've just been given a packet so that you'll have the same information that I will be presenting. We're going to start with identifying the different programs that are going on both in elementary and in secondary. In elementary, we have 3 different sites. We have programs at Dr. Fermin Calderon, Garfield Elementary, and Del Rio Middle School is being used for our SSI, which I'll go over in just a moment. Secondary, we have 4 sites. We are using the Del Rio Middle School, the Del Rio Freshman, the Blended Academy and Early College High School, and Del Rio High School, actually 5 sites. And I have listed the different programs under each of those, but I will be going over each one. We'll start off with optional extended year and some reading camps that we started this year. The optional extended year is a program that by law is required for any student in 1st through 11th grade who has failed 2 or more courses. You have to give them the opportunity to go to summer school, and if they pass the requirements, then they are promoted. You'll see here that at Dr. Fermin Calderon, we are having the optional extended year program for 1st through 4th graders with a total of 38 students attending. We also have 3 reading camps that are brand new. Let me go back before I move forward. On every slide, you will see the program, the grade levels. You'll also see the duration of the programs, and you'll also see the facilitator, the number of teachers, and the students. I should have clarified that from the beginning. When you look at the dates, probably 3 or 4 years ago, the decision was made that we would end the OEY program as it correlates with the SSI program. We also made the decision, and it was principals, administration, to start a couple of days later. We do not start both programs at the same time. It's very confusing and it's very busy. Imagine just being at Del Rio Middle School, where hundreds of students are coming to register for 2 distinct programs. In both scenarios, you'll see that the SSI, which is the 5th and 8th grade requirement, does start first. So here you'll see that the OEY 1st through 4th grade started on June 10th. It will go for a duration of 14 days. The reading camps for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade were part of a reading grant that we received. You will see that we have 43 2nd graders, 39 3rd graders, and 47 4th graders attending these programs. It is a 10-day program for 4 hours a day. You'll also see the bilingual advanced reading and writing camp. It is only the 2nd year that we've been able to have this program. We take advanced and advanced high students, and last year we ran a 5-day program. This year we extended it to 10 days. Except for the OEY program, they're all enrichment camps that our district has been able to supplement. At Garfield Elementary, we also have a new program that came to us this year. We have 2 teachers in our district, Mrs. Carol Sunderland and Mrs. Santiago Salas, who are working on their masters through A&M University. With the help of Dr. Irby, they are working on an internship this summer. Both of those programs asked that the teachers be facilitators. A&M is paying them. They're also paying 4 teachers from the university level, and they're also paying high school students to be aides. It is a very focused program. They did send us all the guidelines and regulations. Both their principals, Mrs. Rubio and Ms. Solis, have taken on the responsibility of mentoring and looking over those 2 programs. We do have 26 students in one program and 32 1st and 2nd graders in the 2nd. The Bilingual Ready, Set, Start program is a required program. It is 120 hours, so depending on what day you start, you add up 120 hours. That one will run from June 5th to July 3rd. We do have 84 kindergartners and 40 1st graders. The Jump Start program is different. That's totally optional. It is a program we've been running for about 12 to 15 years, as far back as I can remember, and that is strictly for 2nd through 5th grade bilingual students. We have 85 students attending that camp. The migrant this year, we do have 10 3- and 4-year-olds and 39 kinder through 6-year-olds. That one is also a required program through the grant. All of those are being held at Garfield. I'm going to move on to secondary. With the exception of SSI 5th grade this year, we decided to run both the 5th grade and the 8th grade SSI programs at the same campus at Del Rio Middle School. You'll see that they started June 5th and they will end on the 27th. It's a 17-day program. This is for any student who failed math or reading. It correlates with the dates that they have to test. So once the testing is over, the program is over. We're also housing 3 of the optional extended year programs there for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. You'll notice that the principals are all facilitating all of these programs. You'll see the OEY started on June 10th. Again, we started on a Wednesday of one week and on a Monday for the second program, just for simplicity and for organization purposes for the parents. It's a 14-day program. These are the students, again, who have failed 2 or more classes and are coming in hopes of passing so that they can be promoted. At Blended Academy and at Early College High School, you'll see some different programs. We have the mandated STAR EOC program. That one started on June 5th. It will run for 18 days due to testing. We also have a credit recovery program there being held from June 4th, and that one will go through August 9th. And that is the longest program that we have because all of these students, we do try to get them to graduate so that they can participate in the graduation, the summer graduation. That is probably the longest and the largest program that we have at Blended. Early College High School, we have a very large TSI program. You'll see there that we have 479 students who will participate in a reading, a writing, or a math TSI this summer. It is broken down as to the content and how many students are within each one of the programs. You'll also see some teacher-directed. Mr. Mayfield is offering a dual credit eco class this summer for 20 students, and we also have some Spanish classes being conducted at Early College High School. We'll continue on with Doro Freshmen. You'll see the EOC program from June the 5th to June the 28th, which is 18 days. They test from the 24th through the 28th, so once the testing is over, the program is over. That program, we have 180 students participating in the EOC preparation to retest. They will test again on the week of the 24th. We also have 315 students who are participating in the credit recovery at the Doro Freshman, and you'll see the different contents there. That one will run from June 10th through July 3rd. We'll conclude with Doro High School. Doro High School is running 4 different programs. They do have their TSI camp with 22 students. It's a 28-day program from June 10th to July 18th. Again, an effort to try to get the students to graduate and meet their requirements. We also have the EOC with 68 students for those students who are going to retest at the end of June. The credit recovery currently has 97 students participating in English, Math, and Biology from June 10th through July 18th. And we do have some teacher-directed courses. Every year the students come in for these type courses. The students do pay a $50 fee to participate for speech, government, or economics. And that's just an advancement for credit so that they can take something else throughout the year. At the end of your packets, you'll just see a summary of the different programs that are taking place this summer in our elementary, the SSI, OEY, the bilingual, the reading camps, the Texas A&M, and the migrant program. And in secondary, you will see the EOCs, the TSI, the credit recovery, the teacher-directed, and the OEI programs, along with the participation numbers for each one. Mr. Mesa, that does conclude the summary. If anybody has any questions that I might answer.
Questions? I think this is very informational. It includes all the information that I was looking for, and I'm glad that we're utilizing grant money for a lot of these programs.
For the enrichment, yes,
Glad to see the advancement courses and opportunities for students to move on to other courses and receive credit for some of the programs that they signed up in the summer. So it allows a lot of remedial work as well as advanced. And I'm glad that those reading camps are going on.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions, Ms. Gonzalez? Thank you so much for that report.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr.
Rios.
Mesa.
Mr. Mesa, I wanted to point out to the board members, if you'll notice individuals that are overseeing the programs, the federal budget that used to pay for a lot of these programs, because of a new way of allotting the money through the federal government. You know, the federal government is always going to spend about 4% of their budget on education, but they quite often direct changes to how the money is spent. So there comes a lot less money through Title I. And as a result, this year, we had to change a lot of the positions over from federal funding to local funds, and that still didn't leave any money to run summer school. So if you'll notice, all of the programs are run by either principals or curriculum coordinators or some teacher directed. So we appreciate that's just one more thing we put on our principals and one more thing we put on our curriculum coordinators. We appreciate it, but we just have to have different ways of looking at the budget because it really isn't there anymore. We're committed to continuing to do summer school, but we're going to have to do a whole lot more of innovative thinking and how we organize it and move forward because of diminishing funds.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Next item that we have is item 8D, San Felipe de Oro CISD projections for TA accountability ratings. Angie Sanchez.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Superintendent Dr. Rios, members of the board. My name is Angie Sanchez, and I am the System-Wide Testing Coordinator for the district. I have on the screen, or reflected on the screen, is our overview for our projected, I'm going to reiterate that, projected 2019 accountability ratings. The ratings are strictly from raw data, data files that we have from the state, as well as resources that we've gotten from TA. Okay. You have also received an individual report card, a packet for each campus. It kind of breaks down the accountability rating system. And if you look at the chart, I'm kind of going to give you a quick synopsis of the accountability system. Okay. So if you look at the top, we have 3 domains. Domain 1, which is student achievement. Domain 2 is student progress, but it's broken up into 2 parts. Part A, which is academic growth, looking at how our students grow from one year to the next in math and reading. Then we also have student progress, Part B, which is relative performance, how we did in relation to other campuses or districts that have the same ECODIS population as we do. And then domain 3 is closing the gaps. It's our ESSA compliance domain. The last, or the further right of the column, you'll see the overall rating, which we've broken it down into D1, D2, D3 for domain 1, 2, and 3. The overall rating is calculated by looking at which of the higher domains, whether 1 or 2, and then tabulated by that 70%. And then domain 3 will contribute 30% of the overall accountability rating. Do y'all have any questions before I go through the campuses? So for Buena Vista, student achievement, we have an alpha rating of a C. Student progress, we have a C in part 1, academic growth, and then we have a C for relative performance and a C as well for closing the gaps. The overall rating for that campus is projected at a C. Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary, student achievement, we have a projected rating of a D. For academic growth, we have a C. Relative performance, a D. Closing the gaps, a C, for an overall accountability projected alpha rating of a C. Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary, student achievement, a C. Academic growth, a C. Relative performance, a C. Closing the gaps, a C. And overall projected alpha rating of a C. Garfield Elementary, student achievement, domain projection is a D. Academic growth is a B.
relative performance is a C. Closing the gaps, a C, with an overall alpha projected rating of a C. Lamar, we have an alpha projected letter grade of a C for student achievement. Student progress, we have a B. Relative performance, a B. Closing the gaps, a C, with an overall projected accountability rating of a B. North Heights Elementary, student achievement, we have a projected alpha rating of a D. Academic growth, a C. Relative performance, a D. Closing the gaps, a C, with an overall projected accountability of a C. Robert Barrera Elementary, student achievement alpha rating projection is an A. For academic growth, a D. Relative performance, a B. They do not get a rating for closing the gaps, and then an overall projection of an A. Ruben Chavita Elementary, student achievement alpha projection is a C. Academic growth, a B. Relative performance, a C. Closing the gaps, a C. An overall projected alpha rating of a B. San Felipe Memorial Middle School, an alpha projection letter grade of a C. Academic growth, an F. Relative performance, a B. Closing the gaps, a C, with an overall rating of, or alpha projected rating of a B. I want to go back and just reiterate the fact that the state's going to take the best of Part A or B for the school progress domain. So in this case, you see that San Felipe Memorial Middle School has a 59 in Part A, but Part B, they have an 86. They calculate the 86%. Okay? Del Rio Middle School, student achievement, alpha projection of a C, academic growth a C, relative performance a C, closing the gaps a C, with an overall projected alpha rating of a C. Del Rio High School, student achievement alpha projection will be a B, academic growth a C, relative performance a B, and closing the gaps a D, with an overall projection letter grade of a B. Early College High School, student achievement alpha projection is an A, academic growth an A, relative performance an A, closing the gaps an A, with an overall alpha projection rating of an A. District, we have an alpha projected student achievement projection letter B, academic growth a C, relative performance an A, closing the gaps a C, with an overall rating of a B. If you look down below, you'll see our alternative education campus, which is Blended Academy. Student achievement projected alpha rating is a D. Student progress is an A. Relative performance is not rated for alternative education agencies. And then closing the gaps, we have an alpha projection of a B with an overall rating of an A. So that kind of goes over all of our alpha ratings. Projected.
Questions from board members? Angie, I have one. Is there one more testing period for elementary or secondary?
No, the accountability year is over.
Okay.
Summer kicks off for EOC, but we only include the first and second administration for SSI grades, which is 5th and 8th grade.
Oh, only the first and second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? Mrs. Webb?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. When I look at all the C's are great. D's, I don't really care for D's. But when I look at the individual campuses by grade level, And for example, we have a campus, let's say they tested 114 students and only 55% passed. That's alarming to me because we only have half of the students, or a little bit more than half of the students passing. And that's alarming. And I did go through all of the campuses by grade levels because we had the update report on that. So yes, I went through all of them. And that's my concern. When you're in college and you get a D, you're glad you got a D because you just want to finish that class. But when we're talking about an overall number of students, we want all our students to be passing. Whether all of them pass with a C, that's great. But what are we doing with those students that haven't passed?
Just one. Oh, Dr. Rios.
I can respond to all the comments, or I can just do one by one, whatever you please, Mr. Mesa.
I think we still have some more comments.
Okay, let's just have all the comments.
First of all, I'm glad that we do not have a campus with improvement required. And when I look at all the areas, and I'm glad the accountability system allows for us to choose which is the better of academic growth or relative performance. But overall, we're moving up, which is wonderful. I think the concerns that I have is still with a bilingual group, and there's still areas for growth in many areas. But I'm glad that we have a strong B, an 85. I consider it strong. I think we were concerned the previous year with I think a 1 point difference between a B and a C. But overall, I commend the teachers, the district for the progress that has made. Dr. Rios, there has been progress made, and I'm glad that we do not have a black eye with an IR campus. So I see some good things happening.
Thank you, sir.
Want to respond?
You said what I was going to say, Mr. Mesa. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a lot better coming from a board member than it is from a superintendent. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I
just want to make a comment.
Gutierrez?
Obviously, the schools that went up in scores, great. Those that went down, obviously we have some work to do. But I would want for you to include maybe the variance from last year from those individual schools, so we can have a better. Last year I was still new at this, and in fact I'm still learning. However, I would want to compare last year's numbers to this year's, right next to these reports, so we can actually. Well, I saw it, but last time I was looking at this one, so we can look at it side by side, though, instead of going back and forth, flipping through slides.
Absolutely, Mr. Contreras, we can generate the same report. Now, we've done the calculations, and I can tell you that based on these reports, and I know that Ms. Sanchez continues to say that they're preliminary, but if we look at this time last year, we shared the same reports that were preliminary, but the data systems that we have to manage the data are pretty accurate. And I don't know that the letter grades changed any last year when she reported, and we're using the same method. But we did look at them, and everybody had some positive change on the report. And over half of the campuses, when we use this report to set the goals for this coming year, well over half of the campuses exceeded the goals that we had set for them. So we'd be very happy to show you the comparison from last year to this year with this same report that's up there. And we'll also include in there what the target had been, because that was exceeded as well. So yes, sir, we'll put that report together to describe what I just said.
Thank you, sir.
Just want to mention again, through research, as we go to trainings, we find out and kind of put our seal of approval on there. When you have a strong leader at the campus making the right decisions in regard to hiring good teachers, good qualified teachers, it makes a big difference. And the motivator being the principal, but ultimately the teacher, the quality of the teaching that goes on in the classroom. We're proud to have so many great teachers in the district, again, as I mentioned, with the group that we just recognized. But again, one of the biggest factors is the motivator, the leader on that campus. Thank you so much for the report.
You're welcome.
And we move on to the consent agenda. Item 9, we have minutes from previous meetings. If you would, board members, take a time to look at the minutes from May 20th and May 28th and see if any corrections. You look at the consent agenda, if there's any items that need to be pulled or voted on separately, now is the time to do that. But in the meantime, we give our secretary the great task of recognizing the donations, individuals and or businesses that have donated. This task has become outstanding because of the many contributors to our district. And so, Ms. Gonzalez.
I know how to clear a room out. Look at that, everybody's leaving. Okay. Ricky Arneson, $25, Blended Academy. Box tops for education, 60 cents to Buena Vista Elementary, $5.50 to Del Rio Middle School Library, $153.50 to North Heights Elementary, $179.30 to Chavita Elementary. Life Touch National School Studios donated $592 to Buena Vista Elementary, $825.75 to Calderon Elementary, $456 to Lonnie Green Elementary, $1,210.20 to Lonnie Green Elementary, $1,488.30 to Cardwell Elementary, $589.50 to Garfield Elementary, $820.80 to Lamar Elementary, $580.50 to Chavita Elementary, $994.80 to North Heights Elementary. The Spot and Pro Shop donated $110 to Buena Vista Elementary Student Council, $230 to Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary, $140 to North Heights Elementary Student Council, $75 to Roberto Bobby Barrera STEM Elementary, $300 to Ruben Chavita Elementary. San Felipe Del Rio CISD Education Foundation donated $200 to Del Rio High School CTE Culinary. Valverde County Sheriff's Office, $250 to Del Rio High School Mariachi. San Felipe Lions Club, $150 to Del Rio High School Metal Trades. Rotary Club of Del Rio, $764.06 to Del Rio High School Metal Trades. Nicholas Velasquez, $100 to Del Rio High School Volleyball. Texas Athletic Productions, $850 to Del Rio High School Athletic Department. McDonald's, $765.01 to Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. Cecil Atkinson, Ford Lincoln, $100 to Cardwell Elementary. Gustavo Flores, $100 to Cardwell Elementary. McDonald's, $800 to North Heights Elementary. Orchestra Booster Club, $627 to San Felipe Memorial Middle School Orchestra. Jose Rodriguez, 132-inch HD TV and 124-inch HD TV. Total value, $202.42 to Blended Academy. Whataburger, 70 meals. Total value, $296.80 to Blended Academy. Livingstone Worship Center, clothing, estimated value $30 to Buena Vista Elementary. HEB, $10 gift cards to Del Rio Middle School. Starbucks, 2 Starbucks goodie bags, estimated value $70 to Del Rio Middle School. Various parents, breakfast food from May 6th to May 9th. Total estimated value $846 to Del Rio Middle School. The Pro Shop, 25 t-shirts with digital print, estimated value $375 to Early College High School. First United Methodist Church, 20 bags of groceries, total estimated value $200 to Garfield Elementary. GM Construction, 26 toy laptops, estimated value $300 to Cardwell Elementary. Maria Brosiker, 54 snow cone certificates, total estimated value $135 to Cardwell Elementary. Roberto Bobby Barrera PTO, 2 picnic tables, total estimated value $300 to Roberto Bobby Barrera STEM Elementary. City of Del Rio WIC program, 17 candy bags, estimated value $40, San Felipe Del Rio CISD. Texas Department of Public Safety, 13 Level 4 Tactical Vest, total estimated value $3,000 to San Felipe Del Rio CISD Police Department. The San Felipe Del Rio CISD received 16 $25 Chick-fil-A gift cards with Toy Cow and two $50 Chick-fil-A gift cards with Toy Cow. Total value $500 from Edward Jones Investments, 10 $10 gift cards from HEB, 5 $50 gift cards from JS Homes and Construction, 36 bags of Julio's Chicharrones, 18 bags of Julio's chips, and 36 jars of Julio's salsa. Estimated value $243 from Julio's chips and seasoning. 4 $25 gift cards from McDonald's. 1 1-year free membership, total value $270 from Planet Fitness. 16 free breakfast buffets, 16 koozies, and 2 free brunch buffets. Estimated value $260 from Ramada Inn. 10 gift bags with beauty samples and 10 $10 gift cards. Estimated value $200 from Sephora. 16 gift bags with mouse pads, koozies, cookies, Starbucks coffee, beach towel, and large insulated cups. Total estimated value $700 from Texas Community Bank. 1 eyebrow waxing, 1 upper lip wax, 1 wax of choice, 1 manicure, 4 1-month gym pass, 1 6 body contouring. Total estimated value $1,835 from The Edge Bronze Tanning. 16 gift cards for 1 month unlimited car washes and 20 coupons for free car washes. Estimated value $140 from Wash and Go Express Tunnel. 4 $25 gift cards and 2 $20 gift certificates from Wright's at the Lake Steakhouse. 1 $25 Rudy's barbecue gift card, 1 $25 Buffalo Wings and Rings gift card, 1 $25 Chili's gift card, and 1 $25 Applebee's gift card from Amistad Bank. 1 $100 gift certificate from Ashley Furniture. 5 $20 gift certificates from Blue Oasis. 16 $10 gift certificates and 1 $25 gift certificate from Cripple Creek Steakhouse. 1 $50 facial from Edna Morales. 1 $50 makeup session and 1 wash, haircut, and wax from Tere Mancha. Total value $140 from Divine Hair Studios. 1 pair of curved bar CZ earrings, estimated value $80 from Robert's Jewelers. 2 tin buckets, 2 Rudy's cups, 2 18-ounce barbecue sauce, 2 koozies, and 2 Rudy's rub. Total estimated value $75 from Rudy's barbecue. And a partridge in a pear tree. Thank you.
I think that job of secretary is becoming so huge. We appreciate the generosity of fine individuals that have donated items, whether it's, again, business or individual. We're grateful for the assistance that we get from the citizens and the businesses in Del Rio. Thank you again, Ms. Gonzalez.
You're welcome.
It's become a monumental task. Just want to bring attention to board members on the consent agenda. The regular meeting, May the 20th, was not included in the packet. It's in a separate handout. Somehow it was left out. Any item that any board member would like to, Mr. Overfeld?
I'd like to pull G1.
G1? Anybody else? You want to vote on this separate, sir? Or?
No, I just want to have a discussion on it.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Ms. Webb?
I just have questions on F1 and F4.
F1 and F4.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gonzalez?
I haven't had a chance to look at it. I haven't had a chance to look at Mr.
Okay.
Okay, G1.
And there are some bids as well. Okay. Mr. Overfeld? On G1?
Yes, sir. Under G1, on the consideration to approve the contract with Sandra Garza for math curriculum instructional support and resources there. I know we all received an email over the weekend about it from some concerned teachers, so I'd just like administration to explain the why, the positives as to going with this as opposed to what we currently have in place.
Okay.
Just for transparency.
Okay. I do understand that some teachers sent an email to board members expressing their concern with moving with the math curriculum. The first thing I want to clarify is that $30,000 is for 5 different grade levels, not just for 6th grade. So if we look at it, for 6th grade, it comes out to about $6,000. But there's some serious reasons why we need to move to this type of curriculum. About a year ago, the district introduced the STEM 2025 plan. Our goal was to have a large number of students prepared to successfully take Algebra 1 no later than the freshman year. For students to be prepared to take Algebra 1 their freshman year, we have no choice but to get them scoring at meets and masters. That's the biggest indicator of how successful they're going to be. And we recognize that as students were moving through the grade levels, we were having less and less students making meets and masters. The accountability system, can you pull up that sheet that Angie went through, ma'am? The grade sheet?
Yes, sir.
It talks about student progress in 2 areas. One, student progress is just how much progress the students are making within themselves, and then the other one is just compared to other districts. Well, for us, the biggest indicator is to have more students increase their progress. So, one would look and say San Felipe Memorial Middle School, our 6th grade campus, is a B campus, and they're scoring really well in math. And on the surface, you can't disregard the achievement that the students are having. We have more students passing math, but there's some very important details that we have to also consider. First, 6th grade, we have almost twice as many math teachers as we do at the 7th and 8th grade. We spend more time on math. So we would expect that they would get those higher results. The other part to consider is that to pass the math test at the 5th grade, for example, you need to score 50% of all questions correct. To score passing or approaches at the 6th grade, you only need 37%. So naturally, more teachers, less questions correct, a 37% would get you a whole lot easier passing rates. Not to discount the work that's been done there, but we have to focus on the meets and masters. So if we look at that chart, is there any way to expand it by clicking, just so that everybody can see? There you go. If you look at that whole chart, on student progress part A, the only campus with an F on student growth is San Felipe Memorial Middle School. If we look at the number of students getting meets and masters between San Felipe Memorial and 5th grade, for example, it's about the same, yet we have a lower passing standard, more teachers teaching it. If we look at the number of students that grew in meets and masters from 3rd to 4th grade, it increases. From 4th to 5th grade, it increases, but at 5th grade, it stays the same. And then when you look at the number of students from 6th grade, it stays the same. When you look at the number of students in 6th grade and how they did at 7th grade and how well prepared they were for the more independent, rigorous math, it drops. So the achievement level of 7th graders this year compared to last year, it dropped. Why did it drop? For a couple of reasons. The standard was a little higher and the students weren't prepared. The meets and masters didn't grow. We have to have a curriculum that provides for that intensive preparation. And we believe, because of the success that this program had at the 4th and 5th grade, we believe this is a program. When we look at schools like Laredo ISD and Edinburgh ISD that have implemented, both of them, which are predicted to be A rating districts this year. Edinburgh has 4.
Blue ribbon.
But it was 4, right?
Yes.
4 blue ribbon schools. You know, we need to implement this consistently throughout. And we went and we found somewhere it was proven. Is changing difficult? Absolutely. But having an F on student progress is a clear indicator that these students will not be ready to be successful at Algebra 1 and then continue through Geometry, Algebra 2, and Calculus. That's why we're doing it. I know there's some concerns about the curriculum, but the truth of the matter is that this lady's charging us $1,000. So we get her scope and sequence, and we also get her live in person once per 6 weeks to do staff development. I think it's huge, and I think it'll get our district, or really our students, to be successful in math. And we've already have evidence of it by seeing the increase of meets and masters from 3rd to 4th grade and 4th to 5th grade. That's why we're doing it, and that's that hard look at data that we've taken, and we really hope to erase that F from Del Rio, from San Felipe Memorial Middle School this coming year with the implementation of the curriculum.
Second. Sure.
Yes, Ms. Gonzalez?
I know I've seen this woman's name before. What are her credentials? Hasn't she given training here before?
Yes, ma'am. She came almost every 6 weeks and trained our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers.
And who is she?
Her name is Sandra Garza.
No.
She has extensive experience as a math instructor, and she currently works for the Edinburgh School District, implementing this very same program there.
We don't have anybody here local that can do it. I mean, in our school district that can, because I just about getting people from the outside. I don't know. That's how much is it? 30. How much is it? 30,000.
Yeah, well, I think we have some pretty awesome people in this district, but this type of expertise, no, ma'am. This type of expertise, we don't have someone who can create that scope and sequence and bring in the resources at the right time to get those type of results. No, ma'am, we don't.
That's too bad.
Dr. Rio, some of the concerns in regard to cleaning up the curriculum and, wrong responses, who would be in charge of that?
So this last year, we had Erica Varela work directly with Sandra Garza in making the corrections. Every curriculum that we buy and that we create is going to have some issues. This one probably had a little bit more in terms of maybe wrong answers or just things that had to get fixed. But Erica Varela worked directly with her. I think Erica worked just about every problem on there to make sure that it was aligned before it was provided to the teachers and with the corrections made.
So would that be done prior to the start of the year?
We would do it. It's a big task, but she would do it 6 weeks in advance every time and get it ready for 6th grade because it would be new. For 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we've worked out a lot of the kinks.
Yes, sir.
But now for 2nd and 6th grade, she would take it 6 weeks at a time. And if Erica tries to leave the district, we just have to hold her to her contract, and she'll keep doing it. So yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, in regard to G1? Okay. Go on to F1. Ms. Webb?
Yes, I just have a question regarding the approval to tailor music in the amount of over 72,000 for band instrument repair. Is that a norm?
I'm going to ask Ms. Johnson to come to the mic. I believe it is, but I'd rather her.
Well,
sure.
That is not supposed to say repair. That is for new instruments.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
F4.
Okay, on F4, consideration to approve the contract regarding customized research services. Can you elaborate on the research conducted and how does this research for bilingual academy, bilingual evaluations, special ed evaluations, how does that impact our student achievement, or how does that improve our student achievement?
Yes, ma'am. What the research does, it helps us take a deep look at the programs and what successes they're having and what changes we have to do, primarily in the implementation of resources. So, for example, if we look at the research that was done with regard to special education, we had a think tank across the district. We gathered interview information, collected that, and then submitted it to Hanover Research to streamline where we needed to put our resources, just so that we wouldn't take we think it's this approach rather than scientific approach to understanding, and we've begun to implement some of those changes this past year in terms of the allocation of resources, and unfortunately it does have a lot to do with personnel. With the bilingual report, what we sought to do, because we had gone through a year of a whole lot of changes in terms of implementing the bilingual academies, we wanted to be able to look at the data by student and by cohort and see if the implementation of the actual academies had a significant impact or if we needed to change direction. In that case, it was very strong that the bilingual academies had been a benefit and that the students were outperforming even advanced and advanced high students. Right now, they're doing a very intensive project on early literacy. You know, we knew in advance that the state was going to ask districts to focus on early literacy, and they've done that through the implementation of grants and mandates. Now every K through second grade teacher is going to have to go through a literacy academy. So we engaged them to do a literacy audit in conjunction with Region 15. So Region 15 is collecting a lot of the data, a lot of teacher recordings. We sent all of that to Hanover Research. And really what Hanover Research is doing is pretty much writing a dissertation, easy to read, with how well our programs are in place and what perceptions the teachers have of those programs. And we'll get that here within the next 2 weeks, and that'll shape a lot of how we allocate the resources and the staff development for early literacy, particularly as we move into phonics. Rather than just go and say, we're going to go back to balanced literacy, we want to see how prepared we are to implement a more rigorous early literacy approach.
So are we going to get a copy of those research data on our updates, or?
Yes, ma'am. Once it's done, we always share the work from Hanover Research with the board.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
None? Mr. Contreras?
No.
None. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion that we approve consent agenda.
Motion to approve with the correction on F1 instead of repairs to May.
Okay, there is a motion to approve the consent agenda with, again, the motion to correct as far as repair to new instruments. Is there a second to the motion? Mrs. Webb, all those in favor, please indicate by raising right hand. Motion carries. All those opposed? Unanimous. Go on to administration. Item 10A, consideration to approve the release of RFQ request for qualifications for general counsel. Again, this is an item that reappears, I think, from the last 2 board meetings prior to this. And again, this is an item that has not been revisited for over 20 years. I think it's time that we look at breach of security, especially when it involves personal data. I think with an organization such as the Texas Association of School Board, they breach their security, the city of Del Rio, and this is an item that concerns everyone with access of personal data, personal information, and then being compromised because of illegal activity that could possibly occur with such information. And so when we request an RFQ, we're simply asking for those legal counsel qualified people to come forward and see what they have to offer. Even after that, we would have to set up a workshop so that we could interview these individuals and then make a decision. But right now, all I'm asking is for us to approve an RFQ. Again, in the wake of, as I mentioned, this item has not been revisited for over 20 years. And as we go through our training, we find that there's so many areas that we're vulnerable in regard to breach of data that we keep for our employees and our students as well. So this is the reason for that. Again, this doesn't change our legal counsel. It's simply we ask for people that are qualified for this area to submit their information. Discussion? Questions? Then I will ask for a motion that we consider, again, that we release RFQ, request for qualifications for general counsel for San Felipe Doro CISD. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Contreras. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 3, 4 in favor. Those against? Mr. Overfeld. Motion passes. Item 2.
I'm sorry, sir. Just before we move on that agenda,
yes.
I want to remind the board, it's the board that's going to sit and interview the attorneys or the paperwork that they submit, because ultimately they work for the board, and so we'll have to set some dates for that. Additionally, I would encourage the board to give me the latitude to hire a separate attorney to write the RFQ, or to at least review an RFQ that I would be providing, because I don't think that I should put the RFQ together, because they work for the board, and I don't know that the board wants to sit down and review RFQs from different districts to put ours together. But if I can put something together and then send it to someone to review it, someone who's not going to be bidding on it, maybe a firm from far away in Dallas that would not be interested in coming to Del Rio, that way you could have the best RFQ. And if we can do that, Mr. Mesa, I think it would expedite the process and give you a good RFQ to put out there. Maybe TASB could help with it.
If TASB could help with that, that'd be great, sir,
Yeah.
because I would not want to incur any additional cost.
Okay, so we'll look at TASB first. Look at my purchasing officer. We'll look at TASB and see if they can help us with that. And if not, I'll report to the board.
Okay. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Item 10B, consideration to approve the resolution to nominate a candidate for the vacant position on the Val Verde County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Dr. Rios.
Yes, Mr. Mesa, the board has to adopt a resolution nominating a person to fill a vacancy. Once that is done, then the appraisal district will submit that to all of the taxing entities, and really everyone can vote on it. Now, in the past, everybody's been respectful. This vacancy is a vacancy that belongs to the school district, so really nobody else should nominate, but they do have that opportunity. There was 2 names submitted. I think that the board needs to have a discussion, and then somebody needs to make a motion. We prepared 2 resolutions, one for each candidate, so that the one that the board approves can be signed today, and then Ms. Falcon can forward on to the appraisal district tomorrow. So any discussion that the board would like to be had. I'm sorry, Betty, do we have the 2 resolutions that I can share with the board? There. Oh, there's a folder right here. Thank you, ma'am. There's a folder here with all my paperwork.
They're in here.
We have one.
In the packet.
Yes, the 2 candidates were Mr.
Peachman?
We have both of them in
Yes,
our
sir.
packet.
Okay, so you know the 2 candidates?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent, okay. So some discussion and a recommendation.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Overfeld.
Is there a hard timeline to get this in?
Yes, sir. I think that, I know I shared that on an update. I can go retrieve it, but it's before the next meeting.
Before the 27th of June or before the July meeting? I'm sorry? Okay.
It says within 45 days of the notification of this vacancy.
Okay. I just worry that there's two members not here tonight on this particular item.
There's one person here.
I mean, two people, not the two
Board
of our
members.
board members.
Oh, yes, yes.
I really, my recommendation is that we vote on all the items because we just haven't had a quorum the last two meetings before. We've had a quorum, sorry, we haven't had 100%. We just need to move forward. That's my recommendation, however y'all.
Yeah, just an observation.
Yeah. Discussion?
No, I went ahead and recommended Mr. Alejandro Garcia because he has extensive knowledge and experience in being in the appraisal board, having been there before, along with having worked with the Army Corps of Engineers. He is a professional engineer, civil engineer. So I think he would be a great fit for the appraisal system, which, quite honestly, you need some of that experience there before.
Okay. Anyone else?
I nominated Christopher Keachman. He's very civic-minded here and very involved in a lot of groups, especially the Policy Council. He's a community member there. He's also on the District of Innovation Committee, and he's a retired librarian. He has a lot of experience in management, of course, and he's very, very wanting to serve the community. He donates children's books to different charities in his wife's name. And that's what I think he would be very good on the appraisal board.
Anyone else? Motion, please.
Want to make a motion to
We're going to go separate times.
to nominate Mr. Alejandro Garcia for the board?
There's a motion to nominate Mr. Alejandro Garcia for representative from the school district to the appraisal board of directors, Valverde County. Is there a second to the motion? There's no second to the motion. Motion dies. Is there another motion?
I nominate Christopher Keachman for the Valverde County Appraisal Board.
Ms. Gonzalez nominated Christopher Kirschman to the Valverde County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Is there a second? Mrs. Webb, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 3, all those against? 1.
Abstention.
1 abstention. Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Keachman. He's in the audience.
Congratulations. Item 10C, consideration to approve the Irene Cardwell Elementary present and future needs. Dr. Rios.
Yes, Mr. Mesa. We've talked about it extensively, and I think that we just need a vote one way or the other. We've had a no approval. We had a 3-3 vote. Looks like today we'll probably have a 3-2 vote one way or the other. But since the beginning, my concern was for the students at Cardwell and to have a place for them that I thought would be appropriate. And I recommended different options. And not one of those options have materialized. I think that the majority of the board, at least in our discussion, agree that the students should not return to Cardwell, that the campus is not the best that we can do for our students. I know that everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have an opinion that the campus is better than what it was, years ago. But better than what it was years ago is still not good enough. I made a recommendation to change it to another campus. That didn't happen. I made the recommendation to split it, and it was tied with the understanding that we were going to bring it back. The longer we postpone the decision, the harder it is going to be on the faculty to pack up, the harder it is going to be on HR to make the assignments of where teachers are going to go. So we're either going to do what's right for the students, or we're going to remain at the campus. Either way, I need some direction, and I need the majority of the vote to indicate one way or the other. I think that once the board makes a decision, either way, we can focus on the next steps on what we're going to do in terms of rebuilding a campus for Cardwell, or rebuilding a campus to the north, or doing both. But I think that the first thing that we have to do is agree, for y'all to agree and provide some direction to administration as where the students are going to be this coming year. I have a recommendation, but I think that the board can also make a recommendation, and that really hasn't happened, and I've been clear about that. I have a recommendation, but the board can also make a recommendation. My recommendation will be, when you call for a recommendation, to split the campus. And if we want to keep Head Start together, then I can very easily place 100% of the Head Start program to ensure that we qualify the grant at Garfield and all pre-K at Calderon. If the concern is with protecting the grant, we can put 100% of the Head Start program at Garfield, and then expand all of pre-K as much as possible at Calderon. I've worked with the demographer extensively to try to relocate 100% of the program at either Calderon, North Heights, or Garfield. But what that does, it just creates tremendous busing everywhere, because then we have to shift the attendance zones a whole lot. So splitting the campus is the best choice. If the concern is with Head Start, I can put 100% at Garfield and the remainder pre-K at Calderon. But we're at the same place, Mr. Mesa, so I just need some direction.
Mr. Mesa?
Question, sir, before, when you say Garfield, you're talking about not the old Garfield.
No, sir, I'm talking about right behind us.
You would be able to fit all of Head Start?
All of Head Start at Garfield, and the remaining students at Calderon, yes, sir. It just creates a change of 100 students that would be zoned elsewhere as before. So yes, sir, it can happen.
Ms. Webb?
I would like to make several comments, at least 5 points. Cardwell Head Start is 346 students. Dr. Rios is correct. Pre-kinder is 110. But you also have 24 PPCD students, 13 language lab, and 24 membership students that attend that campus. Cardwell Head Start and Pre-kinder is a model program of innovation, as depicted on the Texas CEO magazine. Cardwell, at the request of the Texas STEM Coalition, presented its innovation science enrichment process to statewide educators. We are a district of innovation. You have a campus that's a campus of innovation. I have been the only Head Start director to have been on a panel alongside Raymond Paredes, Texas Higher Education Commissioner, along with several superintendents, promoting school readiness, bilingual education, and preparing low-income students for academic success. Cardwell students, both Head Start and pre-kinder students, have the best of both worlds when they're combined. Head Start early outcome framework is one of the things that Head Start does, alongside or added to the Texas pre-kinder guidelines, plus the Texas Kinder TEACs, which in turn equals all of our school readiness. So I have a concern with splitting the campus. My concern is do not split the campus. Rather, let them stay where they are. I understand that the campus, there needs to be a new campus. I was also at Lamar. I taught at Lamar for 11 years. I knew the ins and outs of that campus, and it had the same things that Cardwell campus has right now. They were both outside. They had to go to use outside facilities. Those students were never split to make a campus for them or to renovate the campus. So why are we looking at splitting Cardwell and the pre-kinder students? And then I have a question. and I don't know whether Mr. Arredondo can answer this or maybe Dr. Rios can answer this. The program receives over $2 million per year. The money that the program receives accrues interest yearly. What is the amount of money that $2 million accrues in a year, and how much money has been accrued in the last 5-10 years? And what has that money been utilized for? That's something that concerns me, because we're saying we can't build a campus for the foundation of our district. We always look at early college. We put all the students in early college together so they could be successful, and they're the ones that have basically a straight A right now. We put blended students together so they could be together and be successful. But yet we're trying to split the foundation of our district. So that makes no sense to me. So if you want to add anything.
Any other comment? Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes. I am concerned because this is the split. We talked about the split. Pre-K is going to go, or you're recommending pre-K go to Calderon? Who's going to be in charge of the pre-K? The principal of Calderon, Ms. Villarreal. And Mrs. Adams will be over there at Head Start. At Garfield, excuse me.
That is a tentative plan. Yes, ma'am.
So she's going to be stationed there. I mean, she's going to be there on that campus along with the counselor.
Personnel that's required by the Head Start program, that would be the plan.
Well, and what are you going to do? Give a unit there or what? Is there a unit or a wing that you're going to dedicate to the Head Start program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then with the activities that they have, a lot of activities, they're going to have it on the school grounds?
Yes, ma'am.
Away from the other kids?
Yes, there's plenty of space on the campus, and they'll have access not only to all the facilities at Garfield, but also to this auditorium here.
And the parental aides will also be there?
Everybody that goes with Head Start, yes, ma'am.
And the buses are going to all ride the same bus?
No, ma'am. There will continue to be separate transportation for Head Start, regardless of whether it's at Cardwell, at Garfield, or at Calderon. The requirements for transportation, the signing in and out of students, the seat belts and everything, it just really necessitates a separate transportation.
And what about the nurses? Are they also going to be there? There's 3 of them, I believe, for Head Start. They're also going to be
The ones
separate.
required by Head Start, yes, ma'am.
Okay, because they cannot do certain screenings. Okay, so this is your proposal or your recommendation, to separate them for 2 years? Is that on the table at all?
Well, my proposal last time was to separate them and then have a bond election to replace the campus specifically for Cardwell.
Correct.
That was my recommendation. I think that what we need to do now is decide what we're going to do with Cardwell. I would hope to bring a recommendation for a bond election by July, because we have to declare one by August. But I think that over the next month and the budget workshops, we would have that discussion to inform the superintendent of maybe a bigger bond election for 2 campuses or not. But I think that then we would have that separate discussion. But it's still my goal to have a bond election for a replacement campus for Cardwell.
Well, I'm skeptical because I don't know after 2 years we're going to bring them back. I think once they go, they're going to go. I don't think they're going to come back, in my opinion. That's my worry. You're going to say it's working out, leave them there.
I think that's up to the board. Yeah, ultimately, I can make a recommendation, but to say that you're skeptical, I understand your skepticism, but at the end of the day, it's this board that has to vote on the recommendation.
Well, I'm a member of the board and I'm skeptical. I go on record right now on that.
Or direct the superintendent to take certain steps.
I just want to reassure employees. We sit on this board and make real tough decisions. Some of them are not popular, but my biggest concern is safety of the students. And I just want some assurances, Dr. Rios, that we are not going to release any of the staff. They won't be losing their jobs. A lot of it is already funded through Head Start. The concern that I have is I want 100% reassurance that no one will lose their job. The fact that Ms. Adams is in charge of the program, I really would like for her to be in charge of the pre-K because, again, ultimately, the responsibility falls on her. I want to reassure everyone that we're trying to get a new school. The end result that we hope results from this is that the voters will decide for 2 campuses, one being a new Cardwell campus. And these are tough decisions that we sit on the board and have to make, but I also want to reassure again that every employee will be back having a job, that Ms. Adams will be in charge of the program. I don't know how the rest of the board members feel, but I feel that the responsibility falls on Ms. Adams in regard to the pre-K and the Head Start program because, again, she supervises and knows what the best thing is for those youngsters, individual students. But I want to reassure you again, we're trying to do the best that we can by, again, bringing up the idea of a bond and, again, letting the voters decide. But I hope that this time they will seriously consider our needs in regard to safety because it is a concern that there's students outside all the time. But again, I want the reassurance, Dr. Rios, that we're not going to release any of the employees from Head Start.
100% sure, sir. Nobody will. To begin with, we have vacancies that we need to fill to begin with. And second, any type of RIF would take board action, and that's just not, that's just never been discussed. It's never crossed anyone's mind.
Sir, would there be the feasibility of, because I know that there's no offices, office space in regard to either campus, for Ms. Adams, but you talked about the possibility of keeping several buildings, the newer buildings at Irene Cardwell campus. Is that still the plan?
Well, there's some renovations that were done to the library, the science labs, and those are still very usable. We haven't had a solid discussion on what happened at that building, but I know that at either campus there would be office space. Take, for example, Calderon. Mr. Henge and his staff is going to expand the nurses station at Calderon. That's something that we do ourselves. And I know that when I visited that campus with the principal, there she is, we talked about, the space that was going to be left there was enough for an office and a conference room. So there's plenty of space to create an office, put up some walls, wherever we put that person, or to use the Cardwell building. We just haven't had that solid discussion because we haven't had direction on which way to go. But we can definitely come up with a really good plan.
So you definitely know that we have enough room for Head Start at Garfield?
Yes, sir. Now, granted, I just want to be clear. What ends up happening, if I say Garfield can hold up to 800 students safely, and they've been at that number before. Is that correct, Ms. Rubio? Y'all been at 800 students in the past. So then it's going to have 450 elementary students. Those 450 elementary students are mainly going to come from the Chihuahua area. So then who takes the rest of them? North Heights takes the rest of them, which North Heights has room to expand by about 150 students. Well, that means that North Heights, to the east of it, sends the students to Calderon because Calderon has room. So it just shifts the boundaries a little bit, which would happen either way. So there is there is room, and that limits the amount of transportation that needs to be provided. And again, it's in an effort to keep the Head Start program together.
Sir, in regard to the full day pre-K, would it involve an earlier start time for Head Start and pre-K?
With regards to the full day Head Start, and this is regardless of the location that's going to be housed at, regardless of whether we stay at Cardwell or we go to Garfield, the legislature has approved funding for full day pre-K, but they've also indicated that there is going to be transition period, and that we can file waivers to see if we are going to start full day this year or next year, because they recognize that districts won't be ready to go in terms of facilities or buses. For us, facilities, we have options, but for buses and bus drivers, we don't. So we're in the process of doing a study of how quickly we can expand the day at Cardwell to eventually get to 8 to 3, more or less. It could be that this year that we make the recommendation that we only expand it by 30 minutes at each end, or 1 hour in the morning like it used to be, and then allow use of the waivers that are going to be provided by the state. But until we know who we're transporting and where we're transporting them to, we won't be able to assess how it affects primarily our transportation. And that'll dictate how quickly we move. But the goal is to be at full day by next year and definitely start heading in that direction this year.
Would you again state the cost savings if we were to do that?
Well, right away we're going to obviously get more money. But take, for example, right now I believe that there's 4 custodians assigned to Cardwell. Is that correct, Ms. Adams? We're 5 custodians. Okay, so obviously where we increase the student population, we would probably add a custodian. But then there's plenty of other vacancies throughout the district for custodians. Teachers, we expect that it would be fully used everywhere. So then we save on the current repairs going on or that had been projected to go on at Cardwell, and future repairs. It won't quite be the $2 million, but once we refigure the numbers, I project that the savings for this coming year would be real close to $1 million and potentially grow from there. But obviously, we're not expected to stay apart, so I can't say that we'd get to the $2 million that was previously anticipated by replacing a campus. But I think we very easily get to $1 million.
Other comments as well?
Yes, we keep mentioning safety. There were 2 issues that were brought up at the last board meeting with safety. One was by Mr. Mesa, talking about the students that were always outside. Well, students are outside at every campus, so that's a given. The other item that was presented on safety and was walking down the breezeway, going down the steps. That's one area, and to the left of that is another area. Those are the only 2 areas that I myself had shared with Dr. Rios when we first went to that campus. If those are the only 2 areas, then I still say that Cardwell needs to stay as it is together and look at implementing and making a stronger foundation for our Head Start program, and look at establishing maybe early childhood labs. That will bring you other revenue and also help with agreement with the universities where they can come in and also work with the Head Start program. So there's other options. Then the other thing that was mentioned was buses. Head Start was already going from 8 to 2. And a couple of years ago, it was reduced because of bus situations where now they were going to go from 9 to 2. But they were already going from 8 to 2. So there was an issue with busing then, and now we bring out that there's no issue with buses. I guess we have enough buses to do everything now that we didn't have 2 years ago. And then with the safety, and I believe I heard the comment today that the teachers were told they could stay there for another year or 2. It only took 1.5 years for Lamar to be built, or to all the renovations and the added parts to Lamar to be built. And again, I state, those students were not moved away from their campus while that was being done. And I never had my answer to the question, how much money is accrued on $2 million per year?
Well, if I may, Mr. Mesa.
Yes.
On the issue of the $2 million, I don't know, obviously I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I can assure you that the $2 million are not invested, and remain invested the entire year.
Correct.
Because there's ongoing payrolls to meet. But I'm sure that given the time, our finance department can come up with a solid number. On the issue of busing, I apologize if I misspoke. I intended to clearly say that we can't promise to go to a full day right away because of the busing situation. That was my intent. So if I misspoke, I apologize on that. We're not prepared with buses, and I did say regardless of the location. And as far as safety concerns, the safety concerns go beyond those two items mentioned, and we talked about the excessive number of windows and the openness and the exposure to the elements and the building itself. And it's just not the kind of building that we should allow our students to go to, and we need to do something about it, and we've been wanting to do something about it, but here we are.
If that was the case, sir, why did we make this building at the time that we did?
Well, we're not gonna.
It's like, I'm not gonna go there.
It's a water.
But again,
That's water under the bridge. But just want to say this, that in regard to student safety, that is my top priority, because again, you might see 1 or 2 classes of PE outside, but when you look at Cardwell, they're all going to the cafeteria, the library, they're constantly outside. Besides the students that are out there in the playground, that's a constant. And I don't think there's anyone that sits on the board that recognizes how important Head Start is and pre-K is to our students. We all realize it's a valuable program, and it's an outstanding program. Yes, and I realize the importance of providing the training, the leadership, the capacity of parents, and we didn't have the fatherhood program, years back. You're doing wonderful things. But I promise you that every board member here looks out for the best interests of the program, because it is an excellent program. But there have to be some decisions made that are going to be unpopular. With that being said, I'm going to make a motion that we send Head Start to Garfield, Pre-K to Calderon, and I will ask for a second to that motion.
Second.
Mr. Contreras made a second. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 2. Is there another motion?
I make a motion that they remain where they're at.
Remain at Cardinal.
Cardinal.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gonzalez. All those in favor? 3. Motion passes. We move on to the agenda. On the agenda, item 10D, consideration to approve submission of application for the 2019-2020 ESSA Consolidated Federal E-Grant application for federal funding with a grant total of $4,187,340. Ida Gomez.
Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board, each year we come before you before we submit the application for the Every Student Succeeds Act. This is our title money, and the application has been worked on. It is ready for submission pending board approval. It does include the following: the Title I Part A, which is the funds that we use for the entire district. Title II Part C is for our migrant students. Title II Part A is for our professional development. Title III Part A is for our LEP students. Title III Part A for our immigrants. Title I Part D, SP2, is for leadership and administration, continued training. And Title IV Part A is our school support for safe schools. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members? None. The recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submittal of the ESSA Consolidated Federal E-Grant application in the amount of $4,187,340 for the funding of federal programs to the appropriated headquarter authority for the 2019-2020 school year as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries, Mr. Contreras, unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 10E, consideration to approve the 2018 through 2023 membership of the District of Innovation Committee. Sandra Hernandez, and she's not here.
No, I'm sorry, sir. That item, we didn't have any nominations, so that just needs to stay tabled until we do get a nomination.
Okay, so we're going to bring that item back again?
Yes, sir.
It's going to be tabled. Item 10E will be tabled. We go on to item 11, curriculum instruction. A, consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding between San Felipe Dore CISD and Southwest Texas Junior College for the purpose of instituting early college high school and pathways in technology. Early college high school. Ida Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. For this memorandum of understanding that we've had between Southwest Texas Junior College and the school district, we have had it for early college high school now for several years. This application comes with the addition of adding the initiation of the pathways in technology to incorporate into the same grant. So it's the same MOU, but we are initiating the pathways to technology portion for early college high school and Southwest Texas Junior College. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members? No questions. Recommendation, please.
Thank you, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the memorandum of understanding between Southwest Texas Junior College and San Felipe del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and authorize the superintendent to sign the agreement.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Contreras, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is no item under 12, technology and operations. We go to 13, business and finance. Item 13A, overview of interactive budget workbook. Mr. Arredondo.
Good evening, President Mesa, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rios. Okay, I'm here to give you an overview of the interactive workbook that we'll be sending you probably tomorrow morning. We have a couple of minor changes to make. This workbook will allow you to maneuver through it and kind of simulate some items that the staff has presented that they're hoping to get. Obviously, we can't fund everything, but you can help us to decide, if these are important to you or not.
Henry, can you go on the bottom right-hand side, hit that plus button a few times to make the numbers bigger? Scoot over to the left. So, Mr. Mesa, what we're going to do is just, we're not going to go through the details of every tab because the next budget workshop talks about, is going to deal specifically with projected income and expenses. But we promised that we would give you the interactive workbook exactly like we did last year with at least 10 days in advance, and we're 10 days out from the budget workshop. The very first, the far tab on the right-hand side, what's the title of it? On the far right-hand side, the tab you're on right now?
This is the certified one.
Certified. So that has the money that we're expected to get both through tax collections after the compression and the allotments that we get from the state, as well as all other incomes. But then if you look at and I don't want to go into the details of the tax rate and everything else, because that's at the budget workshop. I really want to go through the expenses and really the bottom line. The bottom line on the income is that we're expected to be at $100 million budget, as opposed to last year it was $92 million. So there's about $8 million more that we expect to get from the state this year, a total budget. That's a direct result of the success of the TRE election and the increased funding from the state. And that's very positive. Now, if you'll scroll down some more, Mr. Arredondo. Everywhere where there's a highlighted area. So for example, if you look at the general pay increase right there, okay, we've already allocated the mandated pay increase by House Bill 3. This pay increase there, it just reflects one of the three options that we provided for the total increase, and you'll be able to see it once you go into that the tab. New positions as well. You know, what new positions do we want to add? We talked about a bilingual director. There's other new positions that are going to pay for themselves, so there's no need to add them there because of reductions and combinations. But you'll get to go into that tab and select which additional personnel you want to have, and that'll be reflected on there. Keep scrolling down, Mr. Arredondo. You know what? On the new positions, that seems like a lot of money. Let's go into that tab just so I can share real quick what it involves. If you look at the top position, I shared with y'all at the last budget that we have a lot of critical needs aides that operate without benefits and that have worked for the district for a long time. Now that number is a pretty high number, but it reflects turning all current, what's that number, 2,800 or 27?
29.
29 positions into full-time positions. That may not be what we choose to do. It might be only half of them or a third of whatever you want to trade off in terms of what other positions or what other items we don't do. But that's why that number is so big. That's a big chunk of it. If we look at the other positions, it doesn't cost that much to have. But anyway, you could go in there and select yes or no on each one, and then it'll give us the number. If you change the number and select yes, well then it'll reflect the number for that many positions. Let's go back to the other tab, Henry. Let's keep scrolling down to the next highlighted area. The food service, that $321,000 reflects the plan. You've already approved through the consent agenda items all the new equipment that's going to be coming, but this is for the second year. The $321,000 is for the second year, so you can approve of that as well, or not approve it. And then operations and technology plan, that's a big ticket item, but you have the ability to pick and choose which areas, and we'll obviously give you all a recommendation at some point, but that $2.5 million is a whole lot. Keep going down, Andrew. Now, if you look at the total projected variance, that shows a deficit of 2.4. But that really is what I'm just going to say very cautiously, that's a Christmas wish list. That's if we were to do everything that everybody had asked for, and we've never done that. So the fact that right now we're projected 2.4 million over budget really is just if everybody got what they were asking for. And we know for a fact that we're not going to do that much construction because there's just not the personnel to do it. You know, we're going to pick what construction projects, and we'll give our recommendation to continue with the plan that we've had, do the driveway around Buena Vista because of the cluttering there, to continue with some items at the high school, some restrooms. But the budget will balance out. It just depends how much of a pay increase the board wants to give. On top of what the House bill required, and what projects we want to do. I feel real confident that there will be enough money to provide for all the needs of the district, and we'll have some decisions to make in terms of what we do with the other money. I would just be cautious because next year, if we wanted to give another pay increase above, well, what we commit to this year, we end up committing a whole budget, so we have to be careful, but we've had that discussion every year. So there's still just a couple of tweaks to be made, but we'll get this out to you as early as possible tomorrow. And then if y'all want to come in and sit down face to face with Mr. Arredondo or one of his staff, just to work through it, if you have any questions, he'll be more than happy to work around your schedule so that we can get some of this feedback before the next meeting if possible.
I just want to say it's an excellent opportunity for interaction from individual board members, so that, again, our priorities or whatever needs we think important can be addressed. And I sure would like that opportunity to sit one-to-one and make my recommendations. But again, I'd like to see board members could set up a time to do that, at least for questions that you might have.
Okay, I'll be open to any time, and I'd love your feedback.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to start working on this tomorrow.
We'll get it to you tomorrow morning.
8 o'clock. No,
Well.
just kidding. All right, thank you, sir. Any questions from board members? Any comments?
Just thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. This was a discussion item. For item 14A, consideration to approve employee job descriptions and evaluation forms for the following: Coordinator, Transportation, Update, Route Coordinator, Del Rio Cares Program Coordinator, Federal and State Programs Director, Bilingual ESL Education Director, Food Service Cook, Aidea Garcia.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. In your packet, we included 6 job descriptions, as Mr. Mesa just mentioned. 3 of them are updates and 3 are new job descriptions. Just want to remind you that these job descriptions that we're asking for your approval tonight is just the job description. It's not the position. The position, you'll be able to give us feedback whether you do want to approve that position through the interactive dashboard. So again, we would only be approving the job descriptions and evaluation at this time. The first one is the coordinator for transportation. Again, this is an update, and there's very minor changes. One of them is to change preferred to the valid Texas commercial driver's license, class B and A. Let's see. And then also they're included under experience from the Texas Environmental Commission quality to have a class A and class B permit. This is to certify when they receive fuel. Those are the only changes. And the transportation coordinator. Then we have the route coordinator, also just some updates. In this one, they asking to include some knowledge in Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, as well as at least 3 years experience in maintaining scheduled records, reports, and phone etiquette. Any questions on those 2?
Questions? None?
No. I'm just, no. No, the thing that we haven't even talked about these positions, and yet you've done the job descriptions and the evaluations. I just think that's kind of strange, but that's my opinion.
And one of the positions that we're going to ask for your approval later in the interactive workbook is Del Rio Cares Programs Coordinator. The primary purpose of this position is to be responsible for coordinating the strategic direction for managing all aspects of the Del Rio Care programs, including the development and integration of district-wide lessons targeting interpersonal effectiveness, post-secondary readiness, and career planning, as well as personal health and safety topics, which includes coordinating with federal, state, school, and community efforts and resources to foster a safe and drug-free learning environment. Questions on that job description?
For clarification on that position. Earlier I mentioned that the federal government reshifts how they allow us to spend the federal money. And the Del Rio Cares position is all grant funded, so it won't be on the interactive workbook. That's just grant funds that we have. But still, your approval today just approves the job description. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, Mr. Mesa.
Questions, Mrs. Webb?
Well, it's not a question. It's regarding the next two, because I don't like to waste your time either.
Okay.
So, I've looked at the Director of Federal Programs and the Director of Bilingual ESL Education, but I think that we need to discuss either during closed session, because there are some items in there, because I know that there was a combination of different job descriptions that were added to this, but there's some in here that are not indicated in there, and that's a concern. I know we had a Federal Programs Director before, and for some reason, it was deleted.
Yes,
And we had a bilingual director before, and that position was deleted. So I would like to make a motion that we wait on those two until we have time to discuss in closed session.
I would rather we discuss in open session, because it would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act to discuss that
Okay.
in closed session.
All right, then that's not a problem, because I can tell you which one. You want to start with which one? You want to start with the federal programs?
Yeah, if there's no more questions on the.
No, I don't have any on the
Mr.
Del Rio Cares program.
Okay.
Mr. Overfield?
Yes. And again, I know it's something that's grant funded, but this past weekend and being in San Antonio for SLI, several of the sessions I attended went in and talked about the issue of mental health, which the state is pushing real big through House Bill 3 and some other House and Senate bills. And the state's going to mandate a lot of stuff for us. Is that something that's going to that would be rolled into this particular thing, or something else that's funded by the district itself? Because one district, as an example, has interventionist counselors as opposed to academic/guidance counselors. Their whole job is strictly intervention for mental health and that area.
So two things, Mr. Overfeld. One, yes, it's all part of the same grant, but we already have an interventionist counselor that the board approved 8 months ago, and so we hired a counselor to be specifically an interventionist. This counselor would do the same, provide the interventions, but district-wide in the creation of the lessons, but it's all coming from the same grant.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, but she had some questions on the positions.
Mrs. Webb?
No, I'm waiting for the federal director's position.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the next job description in your packet is the federal and state program directors, and this is through the Board of Communicate that you received on May 31st, which they're consolidating two positions to create this federal and state programs director.
Mr. Mesa?
Question, Ms. Webb?
Well, it's not a question. It's items that are not within the job description. For example, will this person be counseling parents of migrant students on issues upon the request of the parent that deal with FASA? Because that was one of the things that was also mentioned at our conference this weekend. And another item, will this coordinator or this director also be coordinating with the principals and nurses and counselors and parental aides on services to migrant students as identifying their needs for dental, eyeglasses, medical, and other clothing assistance? Is that going to be part of it? And another one would be, will this person also be coordinating with other programs such as bilingual, special ed, GT, for the identification of migrant students that are within this program? And another one, will this person also be reviewing the audible documents or the COEs that service as the legal documents in certifying families and students? Those are just some of the items.
Yes, ma'am. The Director of Federal Programs will completely assume the responsibilities of the migrant program.
Right, but that's not indicated in here, so if we approve this the way it is, these job descriptions are not in here. That's why I said it would rather be in a closed session, but
No, it's
that's
not a
fine.
problem. I think, well, I know that when we put together the job description, we took the highlights of each job description but the expectation is that everything continue to happen. You know, the job descriptions, sometimes they list very specific things that aren't necessary. You oversee the bilingual or the bilingual program or the migrant program, and it's understood that it's inclusive of everything. Now, we try to highlight the bigger items just to have a job description of the scope of responsibility, but not the individual duties. If that's something that the board wants, we can certainly list them and make a 5-6 page
Well,
document.
I'm just looking at it for clarity so that we know, because like I said, we had a federal programs director prior, and for some reason that person was let go and the job was eliminated. I don't know the reason behind it or why that job was no longer needed and now we need it. I don't know. So
Well,
can someone elaborate?
Yeah, I can speak to that. You know, we had, sometimes we have a whole lot of administrators and that do specific duties, and they really have the ability to operate autonomously because they've done the program for so long. And sometimes it requires that person because the program is big enough. Take, for example, right now, we have the retirement of both Ms. Alaya
Gonzalez and Ana Leiva.
and Aleva. These two individuals could operate autonomously 100% and didn't need to report to a director. Through the years, the migrant program shrunk incredibly. I think there was 125 active students.
149.
129?
149.
149. So to have a full-time director there would just be too much. With the staff that's there and the federal programs director that can direct everything that can happen can be done. Ana Leiva was doing probably two roles, was taking care of bilingual, all the compliance scope of it and the parenting scope of it. You know, we are moving towards putting these duties under the director of bilingual program and have that supervised. But everything else with parenting would stay under the director of federal programs. That with the lead parent coordinator, you know, they could handle that. We fill the positions in response to the manpower that we have to work with. Right now, these positions not only has the funding from the federal government shrunk, but so have some of the responsibilities. Now, previously, in doing away with the director of federal programs, the person responsible for the budget was Ms. Gomez. But we feel very comfortable because Jesse de Hoyos also almost works autonomously. But then I've had conversations with Jesse and I told her, hey, I want to be around 5 more years. You can stay. She says, well, I won't stay the 5 more years, but and so we also have to plan ahead with what's happening with the personnel. But all the duties are going to be covered. We just, when we can save on personnel, we can. When we have people that can operate independently, well, we do that. And this change is just about the change in personnel.
And there's only one, number 16. If you look at number 16, it deals with monitoring, but not limited to Parent Advisory Council or PAC and LPAC. To me, that would be more under the bilingual director job description versus the federal programs job description. Because the bilingual person is the one responsible for making sure that all the LPACs are done in accordance to requirements. So, but you have it under the federal programs director.
And that's only because of the funding.
Okay.
The way it's written in the grants.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other, Ms. Gonzalez?
I saw that you had those two positions that were, two people retired, right? But you also have another one that's existing. You put them in the same, under federal programs director too. Why is that?
Yes, ma'am. So then the other two positions that we have right now are the Ms. Hernandez's position.
Title I. Title I coordinator.
Title I coordinator. And that's all part of federal programs. Again, in looking at the day-to-day operations of that job, you know, all that can be done by the same person. So yes, that would all fall under the same person. Obviously, all under the direction of the Chief Instructional Officer.
Ms. Gomez?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Contreras?
Well, is there any urgency in these three new positions? And the only reason is because I would want to wait till the HB3. We actually know the language and know what type of money is actually on the table. Because that way we can look into these positions and tweak what their job description and duties will be. That way we can maximize the money, grant money that's going to be on the table before we even start hiring. I mean, I know the essence that we're just going to approve the positions, but I would want to wait, if possible, if there's no urgency to that, the dust settles with HB3 and we know exactly what's on the table right now as far as money.
I would say, Mr. Contreras, that in terms of the Del Rio Cares program, that position, we still have to wait to get to NOGA before we even fill it. So there is no urgency. We obviously have somebody working, putting those lessons together, and they're just being paid by the hour right now in their spare time. But that's not going to take effect until we're funded on that position. September. So there is no urgency. We're just making preparations. The Director of Federal State Program, that also is grant funded, but I do have to shift personnel and advertising and hire for that job and see who's going to apply and what decisions I'm going to make. But we can wait a month on that for the July meeting. I really don't want to wait on the Director of Bilingual because I think that we all agree that bilingual is an area that we have to allocate some resources to. I can wait a month on federal programs. I can wait a month and a half to 2 months on the Del Rio Cares, but I really can't wait on the bilingual ESL, or I wouldn't want to wait just because of the needs of our bilingual students.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes.
May I interject? Okay, we have a CNI, what is she, bilingual curriculum coordinator?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is an additional one?
Yes.
So this person's gonna, coordinator is gonna report to the director.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do we have two? One for curriculum, of course, but can you clarify that?
Okay. If we look at everything that has to do with bilingual, there's definitely the compliance issue. That's just a whole lot of testing and LPACs and that person, whoever fills that position, needs some supervision. The second part is when we look at bilingual, we're looking at bilingual early literacy. Mm-hmm. We're looking at bilingual instruction 3rd through 5th grade. Then we're looking at a whole big ESL program. And all of these programs need personnel that's going to support early literacy, that's going to support bilingual instruction for testing and ESL and hopefully moving. And we've been to stage 3 for a while. We need to allocate more resources, and all that needs coordination.
Well, bilingual academies are also going to be under this person?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, ma'am.
And so the bilingual academies are elementary and ESL's higher?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct. There's just a huge aspect to all the requirements of bilingual. And that's not even talking about working to get more personnel certified. There's just a lot to it.
I just want to comment in regard to the bilingual director that for a while this position has been needed. I understand, the role that the bilingual director has in regard to leading the total bilingual program in regard to assisting teachers with resources, and not only resources, but with model lessons and a lot of different things. So that is a crucial role for a bilingual director.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
On the Del Rio Cares, Mr. Richardson was doing that, coordinating it, and now he's got a full-time job, correct?
Mr. Richardson was assisting.
Okay, because I remember he was a coordinator. And then the curriculum, 3 counselors were doing it? For Del Rio Cares, curriculum for 5th through something grade.
There
Oh,
was
you
a,
mean writing the lessons?
Right.
sorry,
The
I was gonna
lessons,
say there
uh-huh.
was a group of counselors assisting.
So this person would keep on doing that?
We coordinate that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
On Del Rio Cares, if you recall, over the last few months, we've been talking a lot about the need to increase the drug awareness and the drug lessons, and how I think that is the problem. That's today's problem, and that needs a whole lot of attention. The discussions that we've had center around how we can increase the interventions that we provide, and this person would anchor and lead that and coordinate that as well, and integrate that into the Del Rio Cares movement.
Board members, again, this is a consideration to approve employee job descriptions and evaluation forms. Again, there's 3 new, and the others, there's 2 updates and 3 updates.
If it makes it simpler for the board, we can table the Del Rio Cares and the Director of Federal Programs, either for this next workshop or even for the July meeting. But I would just press upon the bilingual ESL director.
What are the wishes of the board?
We can do that with just the bilingual director. That's the most critical need.
The budget workshop is in 10 days?
So Dr. Rios, did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, he agreed with my recommendation, or
Okay.
with the way I'm going to recommend it.
Could you state that again?
The consideration is going to be to approve the employee job description and evaluation forms for the positions listed as update, coordinator of transportation, route coordinator, and food service cook, and the director of bilingual ESL education.
Okay, so we are tabling Del Rio Cares and federal programs, correct?
Yes, but no action on it. It's just my recommendation is going to just read approval of the positions that I just discussed.
Okay, is that neat? Okay, then
Read the recommendation.
the recommendation from administration, please.
I'll read it. It's a recommendation of the administration that the board approve the employee job descriptions and related evaluation forms for transportation coordinator, route coordinator, bilingual ESL education director, and food service cook.
You've heard the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Item 14B, consideration to approve updates to the 2018-2019 district compensation plans. Adele Garcia.
Yes, sir. If you recall, last month, the job description and evaluation for occupational therapist registered was approved. We've always contracted services, and Dr. Aguirre wanted to post the job posting to see if we had any candidates. During this time, we sent the job description to TASB to evaluate it, and it is classified under pay grade 4 under the administrative professional pay plan. So at this time, we'd like to add that occupational therapist registered under pay plan 4.
Discussion from board members? None? Okay, recommendation, please.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the updates to the 2018-2019 district compensation plans as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Contreras, second by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item 15A, consideration to approve the renewal of a memorandum of understanding between San Felipe Del Rio CISD and Valverde Regional Medical Center for the purpose of implementing the Making Proud Choices curriculum at Del Rio Middle School during the 2019-2020 school year. Sandra's not here.
It's just a memorandum, right?
Yeah, it's just, I'm sorry, I had I asked Ida to read the recommendation. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. I asked you to read the other recommendation. It's just a memorandum. They've done the abstinence-based sex ed curriculum, and we obviously have to renew it every year. There's limited cost to the district. The curriculum that we buy is probably under $1,000, I think, and that they handle the personnel and the preparation and the coordination. If there's any questions, the middle school principals are here, and they handled it this past year with them.
I just have one question. Parents have a choice of having their students either go through this program or not, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. And same personnel we expect, Dr. Rios?
No, sir. The community liaison person at the hospital, it's my understanding that they'll be accepting a job out of state. So we have to make contact with them as far as who the new personnel is going to be heading up the program.
Okay.
I'm sure that the instructors would remain, but the person overseeing that, there'll be some changes, so we'd have to figure that out.
If I recall, it was a medical doctor.
Yes, sir. That's the person that's transferring out. The spouse was the one coordinating this with another lady from Eagle Pass. They're the ones that are moving out.
Okay, okay. I know the lady made a report at the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then entertain a motion for an MOU. Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Overfeld. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're now under item 17, closed session. If during the course of this meeting, the board determines that a closed session or executive session is required, we're doing so under items permitted by sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.084, and 551.087 of the Government Code, Texas Open Meetings Act. If a final vote is taken, it will be taken upon reconvening in open session. No action will be taken in executive session. At this time, we're in closed session. Time is 8:52 p.m. The time is 9:58 p.m. We are now going to reconvene into open session. No action was taken in executive. First item that we have is item 18A. Again, no action was taken in closed session. Consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Ida Garcia.
It is a recommendation of administration to approve the following personnel: Ana Karen Severa, pre-kindergarten teacher at Cardwell Elementary; Roxana Roman, first grade teacher at Buena Vista Elementary; Jennifer Gomez, third grade teacher at Garfield Elementary; Yanette Garcia, second grade teacher at Garfield Elementary; Catherine Fernandez, second grade teacher at Lamar Elementary; Andrea Donaldson, ELA teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle; Jessie Davila, ELA teacher at Del Rio Middle School, 8th grade; Jessie Galindo, assistant athletic trainer at Del Rio Middle School, 8th grade; Beatriz Padilla, science teacher at Del Rio Middle School, 7th grade; Veronica Aldred, CTE business education teacher at Blended Academy; Anna Mead, behavior specialist for the special education department.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. I applaud administration again for securing the teachers early, and Human Resources Office for bringing these to the board.
Thank you.
Item 18B, consideration to approve salary adjustments to include but not limited The following is discussed in closed session, service credit salary matrix adjustment by De Garcia.
It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the salary adjustments as discussed in closed session.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Okay, Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Item 18C, consideration to approve the position of Assistant Principal for Buena Vista Elementary by De Garcia.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve Mr. Robert Norton for the position of Assistant Principal for Buena Vista Elementary.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Contreras, seconded by Mr. Overfeld. All those in favor, please indicate by raising the right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Rios, item 18D, will you be tabling that item, sir?
Yes, right. Item 18D is tabled for the next meeting.
Okay, item 18D is consideration to approve the position of Assistant Principal for Del Rio Freshman School will be tabled until the next meeting. Next item that we have is consideration to approve the position of Dean of Instruction for Del Rio Middle School by De Garcia.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve Mrs. Ramona Mona Casillas for the position of Dean of Instruction for Del Rio Middle School.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Contreras, Mr. Overfeld, seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Superintendent's Report 19, Dr. Rios. First item we have is June 27th, second budget workshop.
Mr. Messer, just a reminder, the workbook that will be sent to you tomorrow will be the one that we will discuss in depth on June 27th. We understand that some people might be out of town, but hopefully we'll get as many of you as possible here. And we will probably also have some personnel items on that meeting, just as we work to fill vacancies. And then in July, because of the 4th of July holidays, we're asking to move the July meeting to July 22nd to have a regular board meeting at that time. Just discussions indicate that almost everyone's okay with that, and that'll work out. So that's when we'll have the July board meeting.
Okay, good. Any questions from board members regarding those items? Being none, the next item we have is adjournment. Call for a motion. Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Mr. Contreras. All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.